What's up, everyone? How you guys and gals doing? How's WMMR DB Rockford doing, baby? It is the Hollywood and Mike show, or the way I call it, Hollywood and Peg Leg show. Maybe I'm just jealous because he got a third wheel going on there, man, making his old lady happy and stuff like that. I don't know, man. On the Madhouse the other day, I was asking China Doll. I think he should get one of them OnlyFans pages, man, because there's a lot of weirdos out there that like peg legs and stuff. But we got a great show coming up today. Hopefully you guys are enjoying 24/7 rock, baby. We got special guest Flex Boy, and she's from the Guardian of the Children. And we also got Classic, and we got BD as a special guest. And don't worry, we're on time, aren't we? And it won't take 30 minutes to get to the point today. But I'm going to bring in my co-host, Peg Leg himself, Mike Ball.
What's going on, everyone? We're here and we're enjoying ourselves. You know what I mean? I'm excited for this episode. Really, this has been an interesting dynamic of us in our shows, and I think this is something that is going to be. I love bringing good things and good light to the culture.
Rock and roll right there, man. Especially Guardians of the Children. We have been having a lot of good guests lately as far as helping out the culture is concerned.
That's right.
And this is one of the biggest, but I am kind of worried, man. I'm kind of worried here that you said you were getting all excited and stuff. Do I have to worry about your camera getting wiped? What?
Well, I do have multiple legs,
No, you're peg leg, dude. And you know what? I have always asked if you use that thing.
Well, I'm going to explain. Hold on. This right here is the sexy leg, okay? This is the meat leg, human leg, you know what I mean?
That's so human and that's the Terminator leg. Okay, that's
sexy leg. But yeah, anyways.
So how does your wife like that thing, man?
Oh, it's a turn on. What are you talking about?
Oh, you know what? One of these days I'm gonna have to get her in.
She ain't gonna do it. She won't even get in. She's barely will get into it like a normal video. You know what I mean? She's just camera shy. She just won't do it.
Well, I'll put her on the radio, man. You don't have to be seen on the radio.
Yeah, she won't do it.
Everybody says I had a great, looking radio face. You don't have to.
Yeah, right, exactly. Good looking radio face. That's right.
I'm full of Hollywoodisms and everything, man.
No, you really are. You got and you know what? You kind of rub off on me sometimes because I get these Hollywoodisms too. So,
well, yikes. You know what? The definition of fuck up is me. So, what do you expect?
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Yeah.
No, it don't, man. And then you got Black Dragon out there that's hey, dude, turn your mic down. Hey, why keep messing with the mic, dude? It's hard with him sometimes,
Yeah, that's right.
You know what? Me and BD's been doing this for like 7 years now, and love him to death, even though I pick on him all the time. And he's just a good guy, good, kind-hearted guy. And not like the other ones, they're pricks, but it is what it is.
It's hard to come by, you know what I mean? Especially in any type of social media setting. It's hard to find the real ones. So.
It is. Now, as far as bringing the good to the scene, have you done your research on the Guardians of the Children?
A little bit. It's not like I'm going to sit here and claim that I know everything about it. I do not. I do know that they are actually quite bigger than I thought.
Basically, what he just said there is he didn't do shit. But go ahead.
No. I looked at their website and I did check it out, and it looks like an amazing organization. And I would rather them speak on their organization rather than me speak on it. But it is something that I truly believe that it is life changing. And with the amount of people that they're moving, you can definitely see on their website what they're about. I can just
one thing that I really liked about them is kind of. It is a special time to have the guest on because me and China Doll did that segment on the feds busting them 200 sex traffickers. Or no, not busted them. My fault. Another Hollywoodism. But they rescued 259 of those were kids.
Mm-hmm.
And this world is sick and it's demented. And it's great to have people out there that are actually helping these kids out. You know, a lot of times I think they lose their innocence. These kids.
It's just stolen from them, and it's hard. It's really heart wrenching, to know that a child is going to go through something after something so traumatic, and how they might deal with it. And is there a way to prevent these things in the future? And I think these people that we're going to be talking to are part of the solution.
Rock and roll, man. We're going to bring on Classic and Flex. They are with the Guardians of the Children. Good people here. How you guys and Gail doing, man? You know
That's
what?
right.
She don't. You know what? I need to get Flex on the Madhouse, man. I can have all kinds of fun with her.
There you go.
You know,
as long as I can cuss, I'm good.
Oh yeah, you can cuss. But we're gonna start with Classic, and he is the ranking officer from this panel right now, so he can give us the rundown on what the Guardian of the Children do and all that good stuff.
Hello, everybody. I'm blessed to be part of this organization that watches out for children. That's the main thing, and I will say that I'm. Every day that I think back of our membership and the people we have throughout the United States and Canada that are willing to put their lives on hold and change their whole lifestyle to protect and watch over children. And keep in mind, when we say children, we're talking about your children, your children's children, anybody's children, because they're all very special to us. Doesn't matter who they are, And I sit back and I'm able to see that, and it just blows me away sometimes. I keep coming back. You said a couple of things earlier that hit home, and we live in a broken world. We live in a sick world where children are used as pawns and as moneymakers, and that's something that we stand firmly against. And believe me, our folks will say something or do something if they have to protect that child. They won't just sit in the background and say somebody should do something. We are that somebody.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? That's a great introduction to your organization. Like I said, I've heard of you, BACA, and also Bikers Against Predators. And you guys and gals are the meat of how bikers really do help the kids. And by the way, everybody, Chase, I seen you, but I'm not broadcasting on YouTube, my channel anyway. You're probably on Mike's or Black Dragons. But Flex, let's hear about you.
So I'm part of the Sun City chapter. I've been a member for about 4 years. And Guardians of the Children is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're an MO, as Classic said behind the scenes earlier. What brought me into the organization was I came in at a little bit of a different angle. So after I had my second daughter, I have 2 daughters, I had a lot of postpartum anxiety, and I would watch videos, or they would just show up on Facebook about kids being abused. I couldn't sleep for weeks. And I read a quote, and it says, if complaining without action is called whining. So I was like, well, what can I do? The only child advocacy group I had heard of at the time was CPS. So I made a cold call to CPS. I said, hey, I don't know who I need to talk to or what I need to do, but how can I help? So I started volunteering with them. And then at all of the events that I would go to, there was these bikers, these scary looking bikers, because at the time I had, I'd never even been near a motorcycle, and they were at all of these events. And so finally, one of them that I had known before, he's like, well, come to a meeting. So I go to a meeting. I kid you not, and I hope I don't offend anyone, I didn't know what a patch was. I was like, why are they all wearing these black vests? It's hot outside. And so, I was very new to the motorcycle community. So I came in as a child advocate and became a motorcycle. I actually got a motorcycle for the organization. Not that you need one for it, but I know that if you had one, you could be closer to the kids, work more one-on-one with them. And I mean, I got to tell you, I know on your show you talk a lot about the brotherhood, the sisterhood, whatever you call it. And I didn't know really what that was until I joined this organization. And we are part of, the biker community in El Paso. It's very active. It's very great. And the way everyone just comes together for kids. When you go up to the front of the meeting and you're like, hey, we're Guardians of the Children, everyone knows who we are, and we ask for this or that or this or that. When it comes to the kids, the bikers are just, I mean, it's incredible. I'm like, these are my people. Anyone that would give their life, make this their lifestyle for the kids, those are the people that I need to be around. And so now I work, but Guardians of the Children is pretty much most of my life.
What about you, Classic? What brought you into an organization like this?
That's a really, really good question. Everybody's got a story. Mine happens to be with my granddaughter was sexually abused for between 3 and 5 years old. And excuse me, it took me quite a while to be able to get into this advocate position instead of being the position that we all talk about. You harm my child, I'll kill you. One of them things. So it took quite a while to be able to get there, and that's what did it for me. And I discovered Guardians of the Children, and they were exactly what I needed at the time. And I will tell you that it changed my life. Everything that I do now is focused around working with children and helping children and making sure they're okay. We got a huge problem, but that's what brought me into the organization, and I've been blessed without measure of the positions that I've had in this organization. So I've seen from very starting to where we're at today, and it's amazing that people, like I mentioned earlier, that keep coming back and want to keep pursuing this after seeing some of the horrific things that we've seen. So that's what brought me into the organization. What keeps me in this organization is the brotherhood and the just the frank talks that we have between members and our founders and so on about, what's the future? What are we going to do? All of our ultimate hope, and I'm going to say this several times, I'm sure, is that we are no longer needed. And that's my prayer. That's my hope. That's everything. Is someday that they say you're no longer needed. Let's just become an RC somewhere and have some fun, But
Right.
That's what brought me into it, and that's what keeps me into it. Is my goal is for everybody to know where we're at, and we're watching your kids.
Rock on. You guys listen over at WMMR-DB Rockford. We got Flex and Classic on from Guardians of the Children. Great child advocacy group right there. Let's get to Mike before I'm going to ask you guys about how you deal with what you have to see those kids going through. But
ironically, that was going to be one of the main questions that I was going to bring up is how do you, because for me, anytime even just speaking and hearing about, just hearing it, let alone seeing it and seeing it in front of you and you guys actually being there, saving or seeing whatever violence you're preventing from occurring, how do you actually handle that? Like, mentally seeing that's got to be very difficult for not only yourselves but for every member that you guys have.
Well, I'll tell you from what I've seen in my chapter, everyone that's joined either has a story like Classic where someone close to them was abused, and you just have, thankfully that wasn't my situation. I was abused when I was little, and I say thankfully because I can handle it being done to myself. I don't think I could handle it being done to my girls. And so the way I personally deal with it is, we don't really have therapists or anything for the organization. I mean, we do have, our president, he's a social worker. So I know if anyone wanted to talk to him, they could. We have a chaplain in our group. His name is Doc. So if anyone wanted to talk to them, they could. But I what used to be my weakness, which was, you know, going back to the trauma and kind of losing control with it, I've learned to harness it. So when I'm talking to a child that it maybe was in a similar situation as mine, when you have to go to court and you have to hear a young child testify, look the person in the eye, you know, or be there, because what a lot of people don't know is family and friends are not allowed to go into the court when a 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 10-year-old is going to testify, which is partly why we were created. We build that repertoire with the family, with the child, so when they have to go into the court, we're in there. They don't have to look at them. They just look at us and know that they're not alone. And so when we have to hear these stories, I just think I feel like I've triumphed. I was never, I don't consider myself a victim. I consider myself a survivor. And I think this happened to me for a reason. There's a quote I heard. It says, "Don't let your pain go to waste." So what am I going to do with what was done to me when I was so young for so long? Am I going to, there's 2 types of people in the world. This was done to me, so I'm going to do it to you. And there's the other person that this is done to me, so I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. So unfortunately, of course, the kids we deal with, it's happened to them. So I give them tips of what maybe how I got through it. I have kind of like a bond, as unfortunate as that bond is, that bond can actually help me with speaking to a child that's gone through something similar. And honestly, as far as my mental health, this may sound like a weird thing to say, but I don't think I ever want to be 100% mentally healthy or normal, because that pain that I can now channel, that it's not just taking over me anymore, I harness it and I use it either, at the gym, which is why my name is Flex, or for the kids.
That's amazing. I can totally see what you mean, is you channeling all of that good, that energy that was bad, and you're turning it into good, which is absolutely amazing. And like you said, it would be hard to have therapists on board like right away to just like sit there and talk with, but that is very cool that your president is a social worker, so you guys can kind of talk, stuff out like that. And out of curiosity, Classic, I know that you've been around the block regarding this. The same question to you, sir.
That is a very difficult thing to do, is to see and hear things that we as parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, moms and dads should never have to see or hear. And it's really hard to see your members, people that you consider your brothers and sisters, breaking down. And it happens. It does happen. We've had many, many times sit and talk to them. This is why the word brother means so much to us. We are a brother's keeper here. And if you see that they're struggling, we do pull them aside. We may not be certified therapists, but we pull them aside, say, "Hey man, I get it."
That's
many times we have to send people home. "Hey, you need to go home. I'll call you in a little while, or we'll meet somewhere or whatever," because they're dealing with these things, and it is hard. I've taken it as a personal mission to, and many times, way too many times, I've been in court with these people and seen things that I sit with the dads and the grandpas. Many times I'll sit with them, and when they're finally allowed into the courtroom, and I'll tell them, "I know what you're thinking." And I've shared this story with Flex, and I tell them, "I understand totally what you're thinking. I can get to that guy before that guard gets to me, and I can do this, and I can do this." And they look at you shocked, and they don't realize that we all think that way. But there's no greater justice than to hear those handcuffs go on these monsters, if you will, because there has to be something physically wrong with you, mentally wrong with you, to want to harm a child.
That's right.
So it is hard seeing that, going through this. I have my own things that I have to do to keep myself in check, to make sure they're okay. And the main thing I do is I have a challenge coin that I have to, excuse me, that I have to handle when it gets bad, just to remind myself, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And it keeps me as level-headed as I can be during those situations when I need to be. I many times had to pull one of our members outside and tell him, "I get it." I have seen some extremely tough men and women. I'm talking about a 300-pound hardened biker break down. So,
Wow.
you know, we've sat and talked about it and said, look, you know, we're in an evil world. We live in an evil world. We have to do the best we can. But I will say that we've been 100% successful with our brothers and sisters when these kind of breakdowns happen, and in being able to move forward. And,
Absolutely.
move on, you know, I call them our little victories. I tell people all the time, look for the little victories. It's not always in court because our court system is broken, bad,
That's right.
bad. But our little victories is when a child is terrified of for instance, a tall bald head guy, because that's the guy that hurt her, tall bald head guy, to see him all of a sudden running and jumping on one of the biggest, tallest, baldest guy in the chapter in this organization. That is my little victories. So that's what I ask people to shoot for in every chapter. Look for the little victories that we can get. And we do. And that keeps us sane and able to come back tomorrow.
We're going to do a station identification break, and Black Dragon's going to be brought in. This is the Hollywood and Mike show with special guest Flex, and we got classic from Guardians of the Troll.
You're listening to Motorcycle Madhouse Radio, WMMR DB Rockford.
We got Black Dragon coming in. I know you are chomping at the bit to ask some questions here. It is Black Dragon from Black Dragon Biker TV, man. He is a fellow channel in the Biker News Association. What is up, BD? And go, man. Get out of the gate.
First of all, thanks for having me, man. It's good to see you and Mike Ball and Classic and Flex, man. Just so in great admiration of what you guys do. Classic, you're the national ambassador over there. How long have you been that? And are you part of I'm actually part of the originators of the club.
No, I'm actually the international ambassador. I'm also responsible for Canada. So I'm an international ambassador. I've been with the organization since about 2012. So I didn't come in with the original set that originated and was founded in 2006. This organization was founded in 2006 in San Antonio, Texas, by a group of motorcyclists and bikers sat at the table and said, you got to do more than what's out there today. There's a lot of great groups out there working with children, but we felt we got to do a little bit more, and that's supporting families.
So let me ask you, what kind of training do you put your volunteers through? Because what you guys are doing, the average person is not ready to see. So what do you do for post-traumatic stress disorder and that sort of thing?
You know, we firmly believe that sometimes the best training is hit the ground running, and we immediately immerse them. If they're the people after they've been around us for a little while, that we think that they're there for the right reason. Everybody understands that there's folks that come into organizations that are here for other reasons other than whatever the mission is. So after we feel comfortable with that person, we immediately bring them into the courtroom settings. There's a lot of one-on-one discussions of things that have happened, how it happens, how the court system works, how it doesn't work, protocols within courts, and you know, some of the none of us are. Well, we do have legal, professional legal people on staff, but most of the time it's what's out there in your community. Every single community is different. So we believe that's the best training. Yes, we have some training. We do. But the best training, the most successful training we had is mentor them with somebody that knows what they're doing and get out there and start working with these kids.
Now, on your website, you talk about other organizations that might be posing as your organization. Is that a big problem? It must be because you put it on your website.
What a great question, and it is. We had a group in it, mostly in Canada, that happened that decided they did not want to follow the procedures and policies that we have and broke away from this organization. They stole our name, our patches, our everything, because that's where it started. And they started doing their own thing. And it was quite a battle to get people to understand what the difference is. We're very, very cautious who comes into this organization. Believe me, we are. We do background checks. We do a lot of background investigating, make sure they're right there for the right reason. Why? We don't want some pedophile, some scum of the earth say the right things and come into our organization, have access to children. So that did happen. We got into quite a legal battle and everything else to get that fixed. I will happily say that at this time, it appears that is no longer an issue, but we're being very cautious, real slow. They say that the copying someone is, what is that, the best
form of flattery.
Yes. Well, in this case, we don't want anybody to copy what we're doing with our name, especially. We're very protective of that, and our reputation, which we've worked really, really hard to establish over the years. We've trademarked our patches. We've trademarked a lot of our sayings to make sure that doesn't happen. But these people have done that. So, like I said, it was about a 2-year battle to get that resolved, especially across the border. Anytime you're dealing with it, could have been in the same country, we'd have solved that quick.
We'll be getting to your questions for the Guardians in a second, everybody. Go ahead, BD. I think Flex was going to say something.
I was going to go back to the question in regards to what kind of training do we get for us here at the Sun City. I'm honestly not sure if it's the same across, because every chapter does things a little bit differently. We have a 1-year probationary period where everyone goes through a form of online training. So there's different modules. It goes over, court etiquette, and even though we're an MO, we do also go over MC protocols. Different things, how to dress when you're in court, how to interact with the kids, what the different board positions are. And after that 1-year probationary period, if we see that you've been to enough events, your heart is in it, like Classic said, you're in it for the right reasons, you're not just in it for the patch, then you do get your patch, as long as you have access to a motorcycle, of course. So that's what I wanted to add as far as what kind of training or anything we get, and also to go back to what happens. How do we help with our mental health when we see these things after court? We also have something called a debriefing, where the court liaison, he arranges where everyone, or he or she arranges everyone get together away from the family after court to just kind of talk about any feelings or anything that you want to talk about afterward.
So,
go ahead. You go ahead.
I'm sorry, Flex. So, what's it like? Okay, so you come at it from a female aspect, of course, but what's it like to be like? Because you're a workout person. You're in the gym. You present a powerhouse of strength. You have the tattoos and stuff. You ride with a biker club. So you're kind of like a superhero looking kind of Storm or somebody. So what's that like, especially when the little girls see you? Do you try to resonate power and self-confidence, or exactly what is your modality for your modus of operandi for treating these girls and stuff that I'm sure want to attach to you, especially if you're in a courtroom with them and their family and their parents are not?
Well, first of all, your check's in the mail for all those compliments. It'll be there shortly. But I don't come at like I'm this big, cool, I like what I like. I will listen to Chevelle and Britney Spears on the same day. So when I go to them, the presence that I want to give to them is that just be confident in yourself. As corny as it sounds, learn to love yourself, because I've been in the position of having various forms of abuse when I was a child, which is why I joined. So when I see, especially the little girls come up to me with, situations where really only a female can help them, it's really about showing them how I overcame it without talking at them, without trying to be too motherly, it's pretty cool, because on the same page, I'll have like my pink motorcycle helmet on my bike. I have a black bike, and I'll see little girls pass by it and point up at it like, oh, and I think it's really cool that they do feel, I guess, empowered to see a female ride a motorcycle and hang with the big boys. But I don't try to be cool, or I've always loved lifting weights. It saved my life. Guardians of the Children, in a way, has saved my life, because as horrible as things that we see and hear, there's such beauty that comes from it too. So that helped save my mental sanity. It's actually brought me and my family closer together. And so, I mean, I'm glad that I look cool.
Yeah, no, one of the things I wanted to say was the one thing that I really wanted to point out that you had said, Flex, was that you had basically gotten a bike to join the organization because of how were attached to the movement of what they were actually doing. And that's something that I think is very special. Rather than a lot of people would rather just get the patch because of the opportunity is there, rather than somebody going out looking for it like you did. I've got to commend you on that. That's an amazing thing to do.
Thank you.
To do for the children and for you. I mean, you're doing a service for everybody in the community, and it's a big deal. We've got to protect these children. We have to. I mean, I have two children and myself, and I'm young myself too. And so it's a scary, very extremely scary world out there.
And I've never had the luxury of being unaware. I've always, like I said, when I had my second daughter, it was just, I would see videos and I couldn't sleep. I would drive to the gym in the morning and think, and this may not be normal, but again, I don't think that anyone that joins this organization works on a level of normal when it comes to protecting kids. We literally vow to give our lives for them. But it's like, I know somewhere in this neighborhood, there's a kid getting hurt. And again, what are you going to do about it? It's great for you to say there's a problem. Okay, so now what can you do? If it's just something as simple as sharing a post, sharing this video, volunteering for an hour, donating $5, at least if everyone had that mentality of, okay, just one little thing,
Mm-hmm.
If everyone had that, then there would be a lot more being done for these kids.
Well, we're going to be going to the question and answer segment with Mike leading it off. Get your questions in for Classic and Flex right after this.
The gods of rock live here. This is where Chicago rocks.
WMMR-DB.
Okay, Mikey, go on. It's the Hollywood and Mike show. Special guest, Flex and Classic from the Guardians of the Children. And we got a third wheel in the house. We got BD from Black Dragon TV on here. Go ahead, Mike. Questions.
The very first one we got from Steve, brother Steve. He says, what would be their proudest moments as Guardians of the Children?
I'll let you go first, Classic.
I was going to
I
say,
have so many. So
there is so many problems. I'll just give you the first one that popped in my head, and there's so many. We had a young lady that was absolutely terrified when we were doing what we call our intake, when we go and visit with the family for the first time and see if the case is going to be something we can help them with and so on. So that actually soiled herself when she saw one of the members. And just a little bit of communicating with the parents, we discovered that this member actually looked like her perpetrator. Big guy, hairy, This court case was going to happen within a week. So we knew we had to spend a lot of time with this family, with these children that week before court. We want them to know us so that they're comfortable with us. On the second visit, maybe rephrase it, after the third visit, because we had spent the first one was the intake and the other, we had one more visit. The second visit, when they heard the motorcycles coming out, as children do, they came storming out the door. And guess, of all the members that were there, and there was way over 20, guess who that little girl ran to and jumped in his lap? Guess which one? So,
That's right.
Yeah, that was an extremely proud moment for me, where I actually sat back and said, okay, I get it. I understand why we're here. I understand what how we're supposed to be, why we're supposed to be here. This was it. That's just one of them, and there's just so many. I'm still a firm believer, and we got to look for our little victories and everything. All the little victories that we have, that was a little victory, and an extremely proud moment to be a guardian, to see that.
I don't have just one proud moment, because all of my proud moments involve seeing the kids being kids. But I can tell you the most recent one was, it wasn't one of our little guardians. And by definition, little guardian is someone that's adopted. And I say this in quotations, adopted into our family. There's, everyone has a different ceremony and they become a part of us little guardians. But sometimes we have people in the community that reach out, hey, can you do an anti-bullying escort for my boys? And it's not, as one of our members pointed out, it's not about intimidation. It's just about empowering these kids. So we met up. There was even some, bikers from outside organizations. The boys got on two of the bikes. It was two young boys in elementary school. We rode them to the school. The mom had explained how they didn't want to tell her who was bullying them or exactly the extent of it. But when we first got there and the family was there, you can tell the boys were happy but scared. As soon as we pulled up, admin was like, did they bring you to school today, mijo? Like, I guess maybe it was known that these boys were kind of shy. And as soon as they got off, they were fist bumping, they were smiling. And that, to me, it's like, man, where were these guys when I was a kid? It's a proud moment, because you can see them change. That was a short period of time. That was in a matter of an hour. We met them, escorted them, and then smiles on their faces, they go to school. But then when you have, like Classic said, kids that come to you super scared, they don't know what to expect. They're in these horrible situations that they didn't put themselves in, that was thrust onto them. And then we have, part of being guardians of the children is we have events for them. So annual events, personal events for birthdays and accomplishments, and then just seeing them actually enjoy themselves is my proudest moment as a guardian.
What's your worst moment?
Yeah.
But not everything is peaches and cream. Everything doesn't have a good ending. So what was the worst moment? What hurt you guys the most, or something where you felt the most powerless?
Without giving away too much information, and this happens a lot, unfortunately, is seeing these kids that are one of our main objectives, most important, is accompanying them to court, and hearing them and knowing they're telling the truth, knowing that they've had to go through these medical exams and forensics exams in many cases and tell their story to multiple strangers, many of them who don't believe them. And, they don't want to go to school. They're wetting themselves. They're doing this and that. And then for them to have their case dropped because they didn't exactly say the words that they said, a year ago, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So again, flaws in our justice system. And I'm not bashing all of them. I know there's good people out there, but that for me is one of the hardest things, where they're telling the truth and there's people telling them that they're lying for political gain, or because they don't want to look bad, or they don't want to look a certain way, or or they're just saying that for attention. I've heard that before. And I'm like, really? They've gotten medical exams and put themselves through hell for just for this 3-minute attention in court. So for me, that would be the hardest part, is the justice system failing them.
Go ahead, Mike, with some more questions from the audience.
The question that we got here is, how are you guys different than something like BACA? I know that you guys, Flex, you had told me that you guys were a little bit different than said other organizations. If there is anything that you guys can specifically point out, that would be really cool.
I think Classic will have to help me on this one. I'm not sure. I mean, I've heard of Bikers Against Child Abuse, and I, of course, obviously they sound very similar. I'm not sure of their inner workings. With us, I mean, our members come from all walks of life. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We don't do prospects, we don't do prospecting or anything like that. So Classic, what would you say is the big difference?
It is very similar, very similar. We just take a different approach as to supporting the time we support these children, because we keep them even after their court case. We keep them till they're 18 years old. And we support the families, because the families are just as important to these kids. Keep in mind, a lot of these children are actually protecting their families. They don't want to say anything because they know mom and dad are going to get upset. They don't do this. So that's the position we've taken. That's some of the differences. There's a lot of the internal differences, but the main things is we keep the family and the children until they're old enough. We even allow the child, once they reach 18 years old, to become a patch member of this organization, because we feel they've already been through hell. They've seen hell. They've lived it. So those are some of the differences. Like I say, there's some administrative differences, but those are just the main differences. We just keep them till they're 18, and we do support the families. We do allow our chapters to have a lot more input on taking care of these families than we take away some of the administrative stuff on that. But other than that, Bach is a great organization too. They really are. They're helping our children, so that's
always a plus. Anytime that we can help children, whether they're a different organization or not, as long as we're focused on them, I think that's the right goal.
Absolutely.
The one last question that I got here is, believe it or not, how are the addressing of the emerging threat of trans grooming? Is the last question for you guys, if you guys do at all.
From the experience I've had, we haven't directly addressed trans grooming, but I'm not sure I fully understand the question, to be honest.
Okay, I understand. It's more like, for instance, let's just say you had a family that you could definitely see that was a trans family, and they were even just, let's just say it, which is okay, a normal family, but for some reason they were convincing their children or whatever, and saying that it's okay for them to have, body changes and stuff like that at such young ages. I think that is what the question is, what they're getting at.
I actually do have some experience with this recently. Of course, I can't give too much away. There was nothing involved like permanent changes.
Right.
It was more the desire to change one's body because of certain things. And I mean, again, I'm not a therapist. I don't really know the right things to say. The only thing I can say is give them ways to love themselves. It goes back to, and I know that sounds super corny. It sounded corny to me for years, but that really is how you can help get over the trauma of child abuse, sexual, physical, emotional. And I give them kind of like pointers of, okay, if they want to change, when they're an adult, then that's up to them, of course. But if I would like for them to figure out if that is truly what they want, or if it's just a result of what they've gone through. So learning to accept and love yourself the way you are. If you want to change again as an adult, then that's fine. But, stuff like, I'll tell them, links for affirmations. And I don't do the whole frou-frou, I'll do like CT, ET or Les Brown, send them links like that. Tell them to repeat certain, like if there's a part of their body that they hate, be aware of it, catch it, and then say something of the opposite that's positive. Is fake it till you make it, basically, till you believe it.
We got Patrick checking in from Guardians of the Children, Texas.
Yeah.
And then repeat from Sun City checking in.
That's right.
It's more, that was more of a political type of question.
Of course.
But we'll let, if you want, Classic, you can answer it. It's up to you, man.
I will put it this way: it's extremely political. That is something that we're all learning. This is all new to a lot of us of dealing with these things. The one thing that I will tell you that we encourage all of the chapters to do, and they're very, very good at this, is providing resources to people that are in these positions that are dealing with this, to these families that are dealing with these things, and concerned family members, and say, listen, these people are experts at this. Give them a call and work with them. And a lot of times we establish personal relationships with these resources, and we're able to give them cell phone numbers and things that a lot of people couldn't do. Is that the case here? And sometimes it is, and depending on what areas. Every single area of this country is different. Every community in this country is different. So in some areas it might work, and some it may not. But the best thing I could say is we usually have some resources for them to reach out to get the help they need, the professional help they need to help them deal with these things. Now, if it turns to an abuse situation, then we are the expert. Then we know what we can do and what we cannot do. But until it reaches that point, we do rely on our resources very heavily in every community in the U.S. and Canada.
Okay. BD, we'll give you the last question, then we'll let Classic and Flex say their last things on their mind, because I know you're going to want them on your show. So we don't want to talk them to death. And then we're going to go to some stuff with BD, but go ahead, man.
Absolutely. So, Flex, you came to this without having a motorcycle at all. And like you said, you walked in the door like, hey, what's everybody doing in all this hot leather? This is ridiculous. So now that you've got your motorcycle and you're mixing with the bikers and you're rolling, and are you riding the pack now? And what's it like? And what do the children think when they see a hot lady coming in on the motorcycle? What's that like for us?
Well, I'll ask that hot lady when I see her, but riding in the pack has been, I mean, I'm still trying to get to the point where I ride for enjoyment. Right now, I'm riding with a purpose. That's how I started. That's how it is. Like I said, I've dropped all 3 of the bikes that I've ridden on, even a brand new Indian motorcycle when I was test driving it. Not too bad. But when I'm riding in a pack, I still get super nervous. I feel accomplished afterward. And I do take the bike out on my own, you know, seat time, like they say. And I don't know how the kids feel. I think they're more impressed by the big, scary looking bikers with the beards, you know, the typical looking biker. Because if you want someone to protect you, it's gonna, you know, you're probably gonna go with them rather than me. If you, not that I won't protect you, I just don't look as scary, but don't let the looks fool you.
That's right.
I'll still, you know, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. But I hope that they feel happy to see me empowered. I mean, I've never gotten a negative reaction, so that's good.
I would imagine they would find some sort of comfort with you as well, you know, and that's a big thing in this type of work, I'd imagine.
And one of the, I guess, the policies we have is, for the most part, we do need a male and female POC, which is called a point of contact for each child, just for that reason. And of course, it can't be a married couple. It has to be 2 unrelated guardians. I mean, there are some exceptions, especially if the perp is a male and they don't feel comfortable around males, then there'll be 2 female point of contacts. But definitely, like you said, in this type of nonprofit motorcycle organization, being a female is a big plus.
Hey, Classic, we have a question from Gio. He asked if you have a chapter in Chicago, and I'd be scared of Flex too. If she's a Latina, they'll kick my ass.
Yeah, she's a pretty tough girl. Don't, like she said, don't let her kindness fool you. I feel very confident she could take care of whatever she needed to. But anyway, Chicago is actually on our radar. We've had a couple of inquiries there. We always we do not solicit. We wait for people to come to this organization. We want people that want to are looking for a way to help in the community and things like that. And Chicago's actually come up a couple of times this summer, so it's on the radar right now. And if we can put together the right people to start a chapter, we're going to look very strongly at doing that. It is a process starting a chapter, but it's a very successful process. That when the chapter is stood up, they're ready to go work.
Rock on.
How does one start a chapter or become a member?
I'm sorry?
How does one start a chapter or become a member?
Well, becoming a member is basically we get a lot of inquiries on that, and we'll refer them to the closest chapter where they live. And it usually begins by starting to attend some meetings and get to know people, and they get to know you to see if you're going to be a right fit for that thing, for this organization. Starting a chapter is a little more intense. It takes a lot of talking to the motorcycle communities in that area, talking to the agencies, in other words, the child protective agencies and district attorneys' offices and things like that, to find out if we're going to be able to do any good there. Because it makes no sense to stand up a chapter if nobody's going to accept you or want you there. And obviously, working with the motorcycle communities is big, because it's like a saying that I say all the time that I think is important and is valid in this question is, we want to play baseball. We don't have a baseball field. And the motorcycle community says, yeah, you can play baseball, but these are the rules. Are you willing to play by them? And we have decisions to make at that time. Can we do this and still meet all of our criteria within our organization, our nonprofit status, and so on, our constitution and bylaws, and so on. So those are all decisions are made, and if the answer comes back yes, then we pursue it and we move forward with that. And we mentor. We do a lot of mentoring on these things.
And if you go to guardiansofthechildren.com, you can see where your local chapter is. So like, for example, we're Sun City, we're El Paso, we're right next to Juarez, Mexico. So we have a lot of people that message us on our Facebook, which is our main point of contact, Guardians of the Children, Sun City on Facebook. So if you're in this area and you're considering being a member, you don't need a motorcycle to join. If that's the case, if you don't have a bike, then you would be a supporter. Which means you can't get a patch, but you can still come to our functions because again, you need the background check. But if you do have access to a motorcycle, that's great too. Just message us if Sun City is your location, or again, go to guardiansofthechildren.com and find where is your location and message someone from the board. The contact will be there.
We appreciate having you on the show, Classic and Flex. I know Black Dragon's going to get with you and have you on his show. But great conversation about this. It's a very important cause. But thanks for being on the show, you guys and gal.
And can't thank you guys enough. Sincerely, thank you for coming on to the show. It means the world.
Thank you guys for having us. This, I hope, will help us reach a lot more families and a lot more kids. That's the goal. And so I appreciate you guys very much.
Absolutely.
That's
really strongly appreciate your allowing us to speak about our message, because a part of our message is educating the public, and this is a big help for us. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks. Appreciate you having on. We're gonna let you go right now. Me and Mike's gonna talk about this for a second or two. Then we're gonna bring BD back on, baby. I'm sure Flex will get a hold of you on Instagram. But we got some more serious stuff coming up after this right now.
The color was neon yellow. The shoes were checkered. The fanny pack was filled to the max. And this was playing on your bright yellow Walkman. Welcome to Generation Rad.
WMMR DB Rockford.
Before we bring BD back on, and it's something that actually broke my heart really bad. To see him go through something like this, and he did a video about it. So we're going to talk about that. Mike, what do you think about the Guardians of Children, man?
Guardians of the Children, man. This is something that I really have been enjoying doing with you is putting out these good light stories that I honestly, it's kind of just truth be told. A lot of these are not really discussed or talked about. Like I've talked about in our segments before with this kind of stuff that we're doing. This is different, it's not, if we just constantly show bad in the community, what is the community and the eventual public going to think about us? So I think it's really good that we do show what these amazing people are doing, because they are changing lives and saving lives for sure.
I agree. Just hearing some of the stuff that everybody knows on the Madhouse when China Doll does the news. I won't allow any news that
I know.
I can't take it.
I know it's hard for me, and that's why I had to ask that question that you asked too. We both kind of like at the same time wanted to ask that question, because honestly, how they mentioned there's been times where they needed to, tell their guys to go home. Hey, I'd probably be that guy being sent home. You know what I mean? I don't know how I'd handle situations with like that, being face to face like that. It'd be so hard.
I couldn't either. You're listening to the Hollywood and Mike show right here on WMMR DB Rockford. And we got BD, Black Dragon, Biker TV coming on. And this is a very sad story. And I'm hoping the biker community, if you're listening right now, if you have any information on what he is going to talk about, get your ass up and say something. This is a part of BD's family, and hopefully everybody out there that listens and watches us understands that we're all in this community together. Let's help him out. But I'm gonna leave what happened to letting Black Dragon talk about it.
Listen, man. First of all, Hollywood, Mike, I can't thank you guys enough. I can't thank you enough for all your support and coverage over my last 7 years doing this channel. Every time I've ever had any kind of a major problem, you have been there in the weeds in the background trying to help me out, teaching me how to do this stuff. You taught me how to use OBS. You taught me all this stuff, the microphones, everything, and it would have been a very steep learning curve without you. So once again, I want to thank you for offering your channel up for this situation that's happened with me. My extended family has suffered through a double murder of two sisters in the family. And this happened in Memphis, Tennessee. And Mike, I'm sharing the screen now. This
Gotcha.
happened in Memphis, Tennessee, and they
It's
don't
not
know.
there right now. Oh, there it is.
They don't know. Well, let me just play this for you guys, and then we'll go from there. As you can imagine, this is a horrible occurrence for us, and we don't do this in the biker community. In the biker world, we don't do harming children, and we don't do harming women, and we don't do harming elder people. This is despicable and disgusting. And we have big networks among us, Hollywood. And so that's why I'm so thankful for you sharing this. So if you know anything at all, call Crime Stoppers, Memphis, Tennessee, or you can hit me, Black Dragon, 404-692-0336, 404-692-0336. And let's put this monster or monsters away for good. This is the details on this story are horrendous. The older sister, 71 years old, was bedridden, and whoever came into the home and perpetrated this crime, if you can imagine being in the bed, unable to move or get out of the bed or even get to the phone to call the police, and listening to the murder of your sister as she fought valiantly for her life, only to know that your time is coming next. What incredible fear, what pain, what torture that person would have to live through. And what we would want is to you just would want to put the same torture or worse on the individual that perpetuated this horrible crime. We're not capable of doing it. Like Classic said, to have one of your loved ones hurt and there's nothing you can do about it. So he joined that organization. It's the same kind of feeling. So we would ask that you would please, if you know anything, if you know anyone that knows anything, if you know anyone in that area, it's we got big reach on this thing, and we would ask that you would put your information forward. We are incensed, hurt. It's incredulous. It's unbelievable, and we need that help. So thank you again, Hollywood, for the platform and for all your many years of help. Thank you, Mike Ball, for the platform and for all your many years of support. Man, just thank both of you so much. And that's it. Thank you.
I'm sorry that you're going through this, Black Dragon. Gosh dang it, man. What a terrible.
You know what, BD? Where's the morality anymore in this country? Where's the morality that somebody would do something like that?
And I don't know, something's crazy. I watched this thing over the last 2 days. There was this thing on Netflix about the horror of the concentration camps and what actually happened. And I never really knew. We get the standard story when we're growing up. 6 million Jewish people were killed, standard story. I never knew how many had died in Russia and all this stuff, and just the horrible things that were done to that group of people. And it just seems like, and then if you know about Rwanda and all of these things around the world, It is horrible what people can do to each other. There's no morality. There's no, God dang it, you need a gun at your house.
Mm-hmm.
There's no police that can be called when somebody has decided that for whatever reason they don't like what you said, or I need a fix because I'm a drug addict, or whatever they decide that makes their agenda more important to yours, to the fact that they will take your life. They don't care how they do it. They don't care how much pain they inflict. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care about who they destroy down the line. Your children don't have somebody to grow up with. Your family doesn't have an aunt or mother, or they don't care. They don't care. And so you got to be able to protect your damn self out here. And I'm glad I live in the South, because down here it's a little bit different up there in Chicago and commie land where you guys live.
Relax.
Where nobody can have a gun and all this kind of business. They have rights and stuff down here. But still, if you're afraid to have protection, it's like, my goodness, man. My goodness. Who goes into a house and stabs a couple of old ladies to death? Who does that? Some idiot, some depraved heart, depraved soul, soulless individual.
Animals.
Yeah.
You said that, we, as bikers and as a community, and I think we say this as humans, is obviously women, children, and the elderly, right? You named 2 out of the 3 that happened right there. You know what I mean? And how it's bad enough for it to be 1, but to be 2 out of the 3 is just like, you don't even deserve hell at that point.
You don't
deserve that kind of existence. And I'm sorry that there is no morals, ethics, and codes anymore, because there isn't. Let's just face the fact, the lack of human, just being alive, human life is just reckless at this point. No one cares. It seems like it's just so nonchalant to everybody. It's just, it's just what it is. Until it happens to you.
You said it perfect, nonchalant. A lot of people don't know how it feels until it happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it happens to everybody else until it happens to you.
Now, do you got any, of any leads or anything like that right now?
Not that the police are discussing. Now, they're going to always have something they hold in reserve. They're never going to tell you everything they know. So, some people said that they saw a tall man standing outside with a cell phone standing by their home. So, the police will probably check every cell phone record or something like that in the area. But that's not something they're going to tell you about. They're going to say, we have no leads. But somebody saw a tall man standing outside. In fact, this story here says Memphis police say,
do they got a composite sketch yet?
No, I don't see a composite sketch, but they say that the women were pronounced dead on the scene, and they say that the investigation is ongoing, and they talk about that man. I'm looking at the written screen here, and they talk about the man that they saw, but they say that they only describe him as a tall man standing outside. I don't even think they say whether he was black or white.
How's the family doing right now? Is the church helping out?
The funeral was yesterday. Everyone's doing as well as could be expected. You know what I mean? But it's absolutely terrible on the family. Because who can believe it?
I can't even imagine that.
I can't.
Nobody can believe it. You don't expect that. And I mean, maybe one of the younger people or something like that, you might expect. You don't expect people that are in the sunset of life, chilling out, bedridden, wheelchair bound.
Bedridden, yeah. What kind of heartless, soulless, and coward you have to be to want to hurt, let alone kill an old lady that is living her last moments? Why? What's the benefit to any of that? This is sick, dude. There is no morals.
You know what? Humans are animals, man. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they say they saw a tall male standing on the side of the victim's home on a cell phone. They don't even say whether he's black or white, just a tall male. So there, at this point, from what we know, there's no leads that they have released anyway. And so we know people know things, people see things, people hear things. And sometimes people know stuff and they just don't say anything like, I'm not going to talk, whatever the case may be. But these were two individuals, two people. They sang in the church, good people, and they deserve to be respected, and they deserve justice in whatever kind of way that we can get it for them.
I agree. You know what? We appreciate you having on the show and stuff. Make sure you stick around in the back with this. I'm speechless, dude.
Yeah, me
How's
too.
Tia? Dude? How's Tia?
She's better now. She was able to bury her relatives, and they traveled there to Memphis to do that, and she got back last night, and she was able to lift her head a little bit, but still breaks up about it, still cries about it, but she's moving forward with dignity in as much as she can, and they've had the closure that you need, but they don't have ultimate closure.
Of course not.
Ultimate closure is going to be to watch the electric chair get turned on the individual or individuals.
Exactly. Well, we're going to be giving our final thoughts, me and Mike, and wow, that kind of kicks you in the nuts right there. It does. We'll be right back.
We have ignition. Strap in. You're about to listen to the hottest sounds. It's the hottest mixtape in the world, and you've got it.
You're listening to Motorcycle Madhouse Radio 861354.
Okay, final thoughts, Mike, and I'll actually get some final thoughts from Black Dragon on the Guardians of the Children. I actually got Flex in the back or in the green room and stuff. That way we can hook you guys up because you're going to be talking to her as well on your show. But Mikey,
this was a really cool episode to be able to talk. I love talking to the horse's mouth, for instance. I don't like necessarily just hearing a story all the time. I understand that we can't always get in touch with every single club on every single thing, but it's very special when we can have organizations or anybody come up and speak about, especially the good that they're doing. Like I said, these people are doing amazing things and they're changing lives. It's heart-wrenching to hear these stories that some of these kids have to go through and what they have to go through as well as guardians to protect these children. I could only imagine what you have to mentally go through to get through that. I'm sure that's not an easy task. And like I said as well, I don't think I could even do it. It would be very hard. So the last, few episodes that we've done Hollywood between me and the fence post, I've even messaged you off the show, just going, oh my God, this one's hit me in the gut, and each time we talk on these particular nights, stuff like this, when we do our show together, it seems to get very heavy. And we though we're learning from a ton of these things, it hurts, but at the same time, it's going to bring awareness around. And I think this is what we need at this point.
Rock on. Black Dragon, man, from the Black Dragon Biker TV over on YouTube. He's also got the Dragon's Lair over on Spotify and all the major podcast platforms, even though he has to get that organized, but it happens. BD,
I love you too, Hollywood. So this was such a wonderful conversation tonight, and I'm glad. I'm really glad your show has really started to focus on the good, because we get beat up in the press all the time about the bad stuff we focus on. And I'm so glad to see you guys are doing this. And my channel has actually started to do this as well. I am so invigorated and turned on, and I admire so much. Can you imagine the pain that these people have to suffer through? I talked recently to a police officer who does child crimes, and I asked him, well, what's the worst thing you ever saw? And when he explained to me the worst thing that he ever saw, I can't even repeat it on this broadcast without
we would get banned. You would get banned probably.
Right. If I repeat what he saw, the worst thing he ever, and I said, how do you come back from that? I asked that officer. And so these people, without much training, with just love in their hearts, these people are facing what that officer is facing, but they're coming in as advocates for the children. And so this has to weigh heavily on them. They have to go home at night and have to debrief and depressurize. They have to be affected. They have to be changed. They have to be going through post-traumatic stress disorder. She goes in that gym. She said earlier in the show in the back room, Mike, she said, lifting those weights has saved people's lives. So I haven't had to kill them.
That's right.
So people that do this and not get a paycheck and not get a reward and not get a 401k, and they do this because of the love in their heart or because they've been through this before, or because, like he said, his own grandchild went through this. These people are special people on our planet. They're special people. And there is no way we'll ever be able to say thank you enough or ever be able to reward them enough or recognize them enough like you guys have done on this channel tonight. There'll be no way we can do that. And their only real reward is going to come from maybe the 1 or 2 lives they're able to save or change. And I think they're angels, and and God bless them.
Well, what better way to end the show than that right there, man? This is the Hollywood and Mike show. We are on. I think I got to talk to Mike about going on Sundays, man. I like Sundays. But we'll catch you later. Rock on. We'll see you tomorrow morning with China Dow on the Motorcycle Madhouse morning show. We'll see all our Madhouse crew there. Rock on.
Riding on my Harley through the night. Keep the motor tight, peeling out, taking flights. Life on the edge is the way that Yogi likes. No fun if I can't do 100 through the light. Probably the only way that I can live and feel alive.